Hello everybody and welcome to Gein's Reviews from just a regular dude, where I do movie reviews, trailer reactions, I react to YouTube videos, and I review YouTube channels. Basically, I just do whatever the hell I want. Today I'm doing one from a channel called Criminally Listed, and this is 5 disturbing cases of body snatching, real life body snatching. So let me get my headphones on and let's check this out right now. That music's cool. I like the drums.
Number 5. Gein Stevens. Gein Stevens married the love of her life, James, in 1942. They were married until 1999. That's when James sadly passed away from Parkinson's disease. After he was buried, Gein couldn't stand to live without him around. After all, they had been married for 57 years. So Gein drove down to the cemetery, dug up her husband's grave, grabbed his body, and then brought him home with her. Once at home, she propped him up on a couch in a detached garage. Gein said that she liked having her husband's body there because she could talk to him and touch him. Another person that Gein talked to was her twin sister June. They were very close. In fact, June had married James's twin brother, meaning that Gein and June were both sisters and sisters-in-law. Unfortunately, June was terminally ill, so she moved 200 miles to live with Gein. She finally lost the battle to cancer on October 6, 2009. Instead of notifying the proper authorities, Gein simply buried her twin sister in the yard. But June only stayed in the ground for a few days before Gein dug her back up. The logical choice would have been to place June with James on the couch in the garage. Instead, Gein put her twin sister's dead body on a couch in the spare bedroom. To cover the smell of the decaying body, she covered it with perfume. Just like her dead husband, Gein liked to have June around so she could talk to her and touch her. Gein lived with both bodies for 10 months before the police received an anonymous phone call alerting them of the situation. They came and took the bodies away, but amazingly they agreed to get the bodies back if Gein agreed to build an above-ground vault, and she happily agreed.
Man, that's more sad than anything. She obviously had some Alzheimer's or something going on to do something like that. Wow, that shouldn't be a crime for her. They obviously didn't. They obviously felt the same way. So, yeah, that's just sad.
Number 4. Julie Mott. When Julie Mott of Texas was just a child, she was diagnosed with cystic fibrosis. Sadly, the disease would claim her life a week before her 26th birthday. On August 15, 2015, the day that was actually Julie's birthday, her friends and family visited the Mission Park Funeral Chapels North in San Antonio to say their goodbyes to Julie, who was pretty and youthful when she passed away. After the funeral, the employees locked up the funeral home, and then the plan was to bury Julie in the morning. However, when the employees went to get Julie's body to get her ready for the burial, her body was gone and has yet to be found. The main suspect in the body theft is Julie's ex-boyfriend, who was apparently obsessed with her. He was also the last person seen leaving the funeral home. He denies stealing the body and accused the funeral home of accidentally burying the body instead. Number 3. Anatoly Moskvin.
I don't know on that one.
Anatoly Moskvin of Nizhny Novgorod, Russia, was well known in academic circles. He was considered both a genius and an eccentric. He never dated or married, and he lived at home with his parents. He spoke 13 languages, wrote several books, and was a lecturer at universities. His area of specialty was Celtic studies, but what really fascinated Moskvin was death, burials, and graveyards. In 2010, the police began to investigate a series of grave desecrations around the city. Their investigation led them to Moskvin's apartment on November 2nd, 2011. Inside, they found the mummified remains of 26 girls that ranged in age from 3 to 15. All of them were dressed up and looked like dolls. They were placed throughout his apartment and his garage. Besides the 26 mummified girls, there were nameplates and pictures from tombstones. Police suspect Moskvin of desecrating 150 graves. His parents said that they caught glimpses of the bodies, but they assumed that they were just dolls. He was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia, and he is currently in a psychiatric hospital.
Yeah, that guy definitely has problems. These were people that he didn't even know, knew nothing about him. Yeah, he's definitely nuts.
Number 2. Arif Ali and Farman Ali. In May 2011, in Darya Khan, Pakistan, the family of a 24-year-old woman who had recently died of cancer noticed that her grave had been disturbed. They went to the police, and their investigation led them to 2 brothers, Arif and Farman Ali. Police went to the brothers' house. They found them cooking parts of a body in a meat curry. Inside the house, they found the rest of the 24-year-old woman's body. The brothers were arrested, but since Pakistan doesn't have any specific law surrounding cannibalism, they were given a 2-year sentence for desecrating a grave, and they were released in May 2013. For a while, the brothers led a quiet life, but it wouldn't last. In April 2014, the police were called to the home of the brothers because the neighbors complained of a horrible stench. Inside the house, the police found the skull of a young boy who was about 2 years old, and the brothers admitted that they ate his body in a curry. They were arrested again, and this time they were given 12 years in prison. Number 1.
Only 12
Ed
years.
Gein.
Ed Gein.
Ed Gein was born on August 27, 1906, in Wisconsin. He was the second child of George and Augusta Gein. The family lived on a remote farm near Plainfield, Wisconsin. George was an abusive alcoholic, and Augusta was a religious zealot who preached to her sons that women and sex were evil. Both Gein and his older brother Henry never moved away from the farm, and they never got married. In 1940, Gein's father died of a heart attack. Then in May 1944, just as Henry was taking a stand against his domineering mother, he was killed. In May 1944, the fire department was called to the Gein farm because of a brush fire. The fire department found Henry's body near the fire, and they concluded that he had asphyxiated while he was fighting the fire. However, they couldn't explain the 2 marks on the back of Henry's head. Whether Gein had anything to do with the death of his brother is unknown. For almost 2 years, Gein lived alone with his mother. She had violent mood swings where she'd go from berating him to being kind enough to let him sleep in her bed. She died on December 29, 1945, after a series of strokes. Gein was devastated by the loss and chose a horrible way to deal with his grief. He somehow enlisted the help of a grave digger named Gus, and they would dig up the bodies of dead women. In order to get the freshest bodies, Gein would scan the obituaries. Gein liked older women who were plump, just like his beloved mother. After examining the bodies, Gein would cut off pieces or flay the skin before returning it to the grave. The grave robbing came to an end in 1954 after Gus, who was an elderly man, had to go into a home. That's when Gein decided to use live victims. His first confirmed victim was Mary Hogan, who owned a tavern that Gein frequented. 3 years later, on November 16, 1957, a shopkeeper in Plainsfield named Bernice Warden went missing. At the store, there was a receipt written out to Gein with blood on it. So the sheriff and his deputies went to Gein's farm, and they happened upon one of the most gruesome crime scenes in American history. They found Warden's body in an extension of the house called the Summer Kitchen. She had recently been gutted and she was decapitated. The police looked around the rest of the house and they found several sick trophies that Gein had made from human skin and bones. Some of Gein's possessions made from humans included a lampshade, a drum, soup bowls, masks that he would wear, belts made from nipples, a dress, an apron, and gloves. In the House of Horrors, the police found body parts from 10 different women. However, the only confirmed murders that Gein committed were the killings of Mary Hogan and Bernice Warden. Gein was found not guilty due to reason of insanity, and he was committed to a psychiatric hospital for the rest of his life. He died on July 26, 1984 at the age of 77, and he was buried next to his beloved mother.
I think the story of Ed Gein kind of inspired the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, because he would like wear the skin on his face and masks and stuff like that. Oh wow, some really weird stuff. But how about the joke of the day? Okay, this is an old one that I heard from a stand-up comedian years and years ago, and I don't remember what the comedian's name was, but I always thought it was really funny. It's one of my favorite jokes ever. Okay, here we go. Guy talking to God, and he says, "God, why'd you make women so beautiful?" He said, "So you would like them." "Well then, God, why'd you make women so soft?" God replied, "So you would like them." "Well then, God, why did you make women so stupid?" God replied, "So they would like you." Yeah, you starting to get a little pissed off there for a second, weren't you? Anyways, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, hashtag Mean Gene, all that fun stuff. And I will see you next time.